Katie Morton.
And I'm Jennifer Palmer.
We are both energy healers, intuitives, spiritual teachers, and together we are divinely guided.
And every Thursday night, we get together with you to chat with your loved ones and spirit guides and ask them questions and try to be that conduit to give you some wisdom.
That's right. So if you have any questions for your guides, you can go ahead and enter them into the chat or the comment section. And just so y'all know, we have a chat software. We're streaming to multiple places. We're not skipping people. We answer questions in the order that we receive them. And we have some questions coming in. So we will get after that. I will begin. Rachel Rose Farber, you are lucky numero uno. She says, any messages from my guides? I just heard right up front, your health is improving. So I hope you're feeling that. And I feel like whatever you're doing, keep doing that. I don't know what that is. Drinking water, getting rest. Continuing to eat clean foods and to pursue greens. And limiting toxins as much as possible. I hope you're feeling a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel like to keep the anxiety down, keep working at that. And I'm also seeing to pursue herbal alternatives to stress relief. And I'm not talking about the marijuana. I'm talking about finding other things that you would find like when I say herbs, like traditional Chinese medicine or herbs that you would get at CVS or whatever.
Valerian root.
Yeah, valerian root. There's one that's coming to mind, but I'll send it to you later if I think of it. It's begins with a K, but people use it for relaxation. They used to use it in ceremonies, or maybe they still do. It's like they boil a plant, I think, in ceremonies in Fiji. And here I think I'm not sure if they still sell it because the roots are toxic. And so you have to get a really purified formula to make sure it's safe. But so I don't want to say what it is out loud, but I'll message you later if I think of the name. I know it begins with a K. I think, kava. Kava. It just hit me. If you can make sure you find a source that you trust for kava.
So I was hearing they really want you to get curious. And that's an interesting statement. When you say get curious about what? Because a lot of times we think we know what we know. And I think, this is a time when many of us are learning how to step into our power and find more wisdom, more truth, more awareness. And there's always something we can get curious about. And where in your life are you not curious enough? And it's interesting. So I had taken a couple classes in Access Consciousness, and one of the things that they teach you, and I found it very helpful, is it's an interesting point of view that I have that point of view. And with that, it kind of separates you from your thinking that you know what's really going on and into a place of curiosity and detachment from the idea of, well, I know this is true because I think it is. And we all do this. And it's a really helpful tool to separate, because what happens then is you're allowing space for wisdom to come in. And I keep wondering if this is about like the health stuff that I know came up in previous weeks, but they're saying no, it's something else. It might just have to be, I don't know, about relationships or something, because I'm feeling connection to others with this. But just, suspending some ideas of what you think you may know as being 100% truth, when maybe there's room in there for a bigger and greater understanding. And like it doesn't come across as being like, oh, you're completely wrong about a certain thing, please open up or something. It's more like, just get curious. What is it that you don't know that would be helpful to know, that you would like to know? And whoever this is, they're saying, sometimes we perceive things that we see through our distortion as truth or as the way it is. All of us have distortion. We all do. And just assume that you were looking through stained glass and you're not seeing everything exactly the way it's necessarily the way it is. And there could be 5 other people all seeing it differently. And so while all of those things are true in the way that you're experiencing, it is not necessarily always higher truth. So get curious about the higher truth of all areas in life. Because once you separate from, and I think this is really for everyone on here tonight, everyone who might be hearing this, once you separate from the idea that you know the truth, you can really have that big wide opening for things to come in. And it's a really beautiful experience. It's more our ego that gets in the way of that, thinking, no, that's not good.
Yeah, for me, so they were using the term suspension of belief. And so to explain what that means, because it's the first time I'm hearing the term, when you go to the movies, there's something called suspension of disbelief, so that you can really enjoy the film. You're not sitting there watching like, this is fake, those are just actors. Like if you thought that through the whole movie, you wouldn't be able to really enjoy the film. So you have to suspend your disbelief in the plot of, no, it really couldn't happen that way. And when cars crash, they don't really explode. You would ruin your
Pinto.
Right? You would ruin your enjoyment. Funny. You'd ruin your enjoyment of the film. So to reverse that in life, what they're asking all of us to do is to have a suspension of belief. So we all have our beliefs as we're viewing the world through this belief system. What they're saying to do is suspend the beliefs and then just try to watch the movie from the standpoint of not having preconceived notions. Because as life unfolds, we're all looking for that confirmation, like something that's going to confirm our own biases. So to suspend whatever that might be for you, whatever you think you already know, suspend it and then try to take in information from a space of curiosity of that, well, I don't really know the truth because no one knows the absolute truth. And in that way, more wisdom and more, ironically, truth is actually able to come through when we suspend our beliefs and our usual mode of thinking and just allow new ideas to permeate and to come in to explore.
Excellent. I like it.
Okay.
All right.
Who's next?
Jess Mack.
Hey, Jess.
Good evening, ladies. Hope you are both doing well. Any messages for me? Thanks.
Okay.
It's really funny. We often get the same people right off the bat. If you guys feel like we can never get to you, you have to be.
It's because the regulars know the system that they're like, oh, they're live. Put in the question.
This person down here, Tamara Hollins, we'll get to you in a minute, but she had this big long one that as soon as it started, she's like, boop, she must have already had it typed in and ready to go or something. All right, back to Jess.
Okay.
So I'm hearing mission, so I think they want to talk about mission. So I hear 2 things. Acknowledge your fears. I think there are some fears that you have, even if you don't know what it is your mission is, there are fears that you have that are keeping you from it. But also be willing to explore what maybe you don't know, the unknown. So I don't know, a really good example is, I had no idea Katie and I were going to be doing any of this. This just was not,
No.
I never would have chosen it, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when my kids were in elementary school and I was PTA president, I was scared to death to stand up in front of everybody and even read off of a sheet of paper, much less do something like get up here and talk to your
spirit guides on camera, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I took some good steps in between here. But so you may not even know what you might be afraid of, but just, again, get curious. I think that's the theme for tonight. They often have themes. That must be the theme tonight. Get curious about, what are your fears? Are you afraid of what other people think of you? Are you afraid of messing up? Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of looking like, you don't belong with the crowd? What is it that strikes up an anxiety in you or a fear, and start working on it? Get ready for bigger things to happen.
and I feel like this is for you, Jess, but also for everybody. What I am feeling into is a fear of both success and failure. Sometimes we have fears that seem like they're opposite. So if you go after the soul's mission, what if you're very successful? Because there are downsides that come with success. You know, successful people have haters, for example, or they have more pressures. There's more demands on their times. What if there's more opportunities to screw up when you're successful? There's more opportunities for mistakes. And then the idea of failure. What if I put all of my eggs into this basket? What if I make all of this effort and I take all of this time and resources and I fail? You know, so we all have to look at these fears very plainly when we're going to go after the soul's mission and to do soul work. And we need to solve those issues for ourselves and to do whatever healing and conscious work has to get done so that we're not carrying these fears around with us. They have to be explored and maybe journaled about or noodled through, but they have to get addressed.
And I just started hearing Journey's song, Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, faith. I mean, really,
Absolutely.
That's what it is. It's a faith walk, knowing that, you know, there might be bumps and twists and turns in the road, and there might be some successes and failures. It's usually not all one or the other. When people are on their soul's mission, it's usually a mixed bag. And so just knowing that it's all part of the process and that you're going to learn from it and come out stronger for having gone through it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think keeps us from our mission is somewhere inside we know that that mission work challenges us more than anything else we may experience in life. So whatever it is we're here to accomplish, it's also meant to be a challenge. And that means that there are hurdles to jump and tunnels to crawl through, and you don't always come out smelling like roses. But it's a good thing, you know, it's what we're here for. So
Yep.
All right.
All we have is time, and not that much of it. So use it wisely. All right. Susan Hobbs says, "Good evening, ladies. Any messages for me on my relationship?" Okay. So what they were showing me was you at your computer and sort of being a little bit avoidant, sort of distracted by it. The idea that you have other obligations and a little bit of a fear of really throwing yourself into it with a full open heart. And they want you to try that. And so that's not the idea that, it's not to say the relationship is perfect or anything like that, but it's the idea of when we're moving into relationship, or when we're in relationship with anyone, with a friend or a lover or whatever it is, we have to, it's like riding a bike. There's a lot we need to do. So it's, you know, it's like we have to pedal, we have to look out for cars, we have to steer. Relationships are the same way. So we have to have the open heart, but we also have to be grounded, and we have to have our wits about us, and we have to, you know, keep looking in the rearview mirror and healing what has to be healed. And we have to work on our emotions, and we have to watch our triggers. You know, there's a lot that goes into navigating a relationship. And a lot of times, in order to avoid all of that, because it can feel confusing and it can, you know, it can be a little frightening at times. A lot of times we just sort of, we don't go all in, and we kind of half check out because it feels safer. And I feel like they don't want you to do that. It's like time for some sort of a leveling up and addressing it in a more head-on way.
Yeah. So when I was tuning in, they drew me right into your heart chakra, and there was this one spot, and, you know, it's almost like a sticking point. You know, it's just like this, I don't know, it was keeping things from moving. And I don't know what this means. I heard farm girl. So I don't know what farm girl means. But it takes me back to being young, and it's a really old wound. I'm not positive if it's this lifetime or a past lifetime, but it just feels really old. And it feels isolating and separating. And I don't know, like there was being made fun of, or I think persecuted is the wrong word, but it just feels very hard to open up and be who you are, because there was backlash for expressing yourself. So it feels like somehow that is connected to something that needs to be healed, that I think is keeping you from having the fullest vulnerable expression of who you are. And I'm sure there's other things other than this one issue, whatever it is, but this is a big one. And I think once you unlock whatever this is and heal that, more things flow and it's smoother. It just feels like that one chink in the heart chakra is really important. It's just some sort of wound that you're holding there. And that's all.
Yeah. Getting the same thing. All right.
If you guys are enjoying this and you like what we're doing, feel free to share and subscribe and, get notified when we go live. And
and check out our website, divinelyguided.tv. You can join our soul growth group. You gotta.
And if you want private readings, we also do that too.
Yeah. And energy healing.
You can get a full half hour all to yourself, or an hour.
And we also do joint readings if you ever want to sign us both up simultaneously.
Jenn and Katie all at once.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to say hey to Jacob, my son. He says hey. Hi.
Hey. All right. Faye Robbins says, hello, Jenn and Katie. Any messages from guide or spirit? Thank you.
How you doing, Faye?
Hi, Faye. Oh, and just so y'all know, my dog is here. She snorts, she snuffles, she begs for pets. So if she bangs into the table, she shakes the camera. If you hear snorting, it's not usually us. Okay. Had to get that out of the way because she just snorted. It wasn't me.
And it's not an entity.
Right.
I always like, people must think that there's like demons flying around here or something.
Because she's like, no, it's just you, cutie. Hi.
All right. Faye.
Hey.
Well, I'll just tell you what I saw, but I haven't gotten the message of it yet. It was an image and you were just kind of like dancing, but it was a really kind of fun, like choppy dance. I don't know how to describe it really other than that, but
Doggies.
I think it's about expression. I heard self-expression. It's funny. I think a lot of us think that we self-express and that we, no, we're fine. We say who we are. We say what we want to say. We might have good boundaries. We might not, but we say what we need to say or whatever. But I think a lot of times that self-expression comes through more egoic means, because most of us operate through more egoic nature than our soulful nature. What I think they really want you to focus on is expressing through the more soulful nature and really being that full light coming through this prism that you can be, and allowing that to just take place. And it's almost like, it's not to say I'll be a jerk and who cares what other people think, but it is be that beautiful, soulful, loving expression of who you are, and let the chips fall where they may, kind of a thing, because not everyone's going to get you. Not everyone's going to love you, and that's okay. And you're not here for their approval. You're here for your own soul's mission, and getting really in tune with and aligned with that, and learning how to self-express through that part of you is I think really what they're wanting you to look at and think about.
Yeah, and I'm just hearing that low. Life is going to flow more easily and when we're fully self-expressed. And that's for everybody. Because we're all worried about what other people think at times. And that requires a lot of healing work to really, truly come from a place of letting the chips fall where they may. And what Jenn and I have noticed is once you get on the path of the soul's mission and you're fully doing what you are meant here to, what you came here to do, what you're meant to do, then it just becomes so much easier to take risks and to put yourself out there. You might still have to overcome fears and do the healing work, but if you have that North Star as the soul's mission, and you just always keep that as the guiding principle behind everything you do and everything you say, comes from a place of service and love for humanity and living fully into your soul's mission, then it makes it much easier to frame things in that way of, well, if I piss somebody off, oh well, I'm doing the right thing. Just because they're mad, it doesn't mean I'm not doing the right thing. And so if you have that sort of it sounds terrible, but like moralistic armor, I guess, the belt of righteousness strapped around your waist from the armor of God, the idea that you're just doing the right thing. And if other people are displeased with that, it's okay.
And just also with that said, although I have seen a lot of people think they're in that space, they're actually more in the egoic space, not the soulful space. And it really doesn't fly well. So you want to make sure you're coming from the right space. You want to be very soulful, as much in wisdom as you can possibly be, and in unconditional love, from that space, self-express.
Yeah, I think what Jen's talking about a lot, it's like, so how do you know that? Because it can be really, really, really difficult to discern. It's the idea, if you're approaching something with an agenda, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you're sort of trying to push yourself onto somebody, or you're trying to force it, you're trying to convince them, or, it's sort of this, imagine like a high pressure sales tactic.
Yeah.
That's one way to know if you're coming from ego or not. Like, you might feel really good about it, you might not be triggered even, so it can be really tricky. But if you're trying to sort of force yourself onto somebody, it's not letting the chips fall where they may. It's this very like egoic driven mind has an agenda, and they're going to kind of push it in a way that's not flowing.
Yeah. And if you are triggered, chances are you're probably in ego. So if you're mad or upset or in fear or something, you're probably not coming from that soul space.
This is for everybody, Faye. We're not dragging you here.
No.
Yeah.
This is how our guides work. You ask a question, they might give a very specific answer, but oftentimes they don't. They get into the wisdom. That's often how it comes through. So,
which applies to everyone. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting anything else about it.
Yeah, I just heard that's it.
All right. So you want me to read the long one?
Sure, go for it. I didn't actually.
I think I need my glasses for this.
I didn't do that on purpose to you.
Okay. All right, Tamara Hollins. Hello, I have 2 questions. Sometimes there is a pattern of trespass over my boundaries, such as a repair being scheduled without required advance notice, or being elected to a position with no previous discussion. Yikes.
Wow.
Like PTA president. I don't know. Anyway, I address it and I communicate clearly. Sometimes it still happens, such as a meeting scheduled when I'm not available, even after I clearly stated my availability, or being asked a question, but then being interrupted. And I still address it. I address it on the offensive, and then I have to address it on the defensive in the way that is polite, after which it feels like I was mean. Why does this pattern exist? What do I need to know about working at my current workplace? Are there any changes I need to make?
I can tell you right off the bat what this is. So it's a pendulum, and it's part of the process of learning boundaries. So if you're a regular, you know about pendulums, but I will explain it because they're useful to hear about over and over again. So if you look at healthy boundaries, which is just, it's off the pendulum, it's not too nice, it's not doormatty, it's not mean, it's not offensive, it's not defensive. It's just, you're not even triggered because everything has been healed and it's been completely worked through. So I do feel right off the bat that this keeps happening because there's something from an energetic healing standpoint. I feel like you have the conscious awareness of it. You are very aware that this is happening. I do feel like something energetically needs to be healed. And I feel like Jen's getting that. But what I'm going to explain through is once you've done all the consciousness work and everything's healed and you're not triggered, and you get off the pendulum, you often don't even get faced with these types of things. And so then it becomes a non-issue that way. You might get tested a little bit to see if the emotions rear up, and then it's like, okay, here we go again. We have to keep.
Or some other aspect of it. But generally speaking, once you heal it, the universe is not so inclined to bring it to your lap. But what I'm hearing is, when I tuned in, I heard dad. So I think this has something to do with your dad. I don't know if, it's he crossed boundaries, or maybe it could be an ancestral thing where a lot of people crossed his boundaries. So I'm not really sure, because they're not being real specific. Maybe they don't want me talking about it on here, but I think you'll know what that means, whatever it is. So sometimes there's ancestral patterns, sometimes, or it could be both, actually. People are crossing your boundaries and you haven't learned how to stand up to him in some way, or whatever it is, or to heal whatever it is that was caused from whatever the situation is. It's important to, a lot of times we get so mad. And so we call this also the victim pendulum, because we all come in to experience victimizations of some sort, but we're also here to find our inner hero through that experience. And the victimizations are meant to be opportunities for us to rise up and to not see ourselves as victims, but to see ourselves as the hero in our lives, and through a difficult experience, or many. So even little things like someone cut you off, or they're crossing your boundaries, or something like this at work, there's ways we can look at it where we see ourselves as a victim to something that keeps happening, this pattern or whatever it is. We all do this. This is not to make you feel like I'm pointing out, what you're going through, Tamara. It's all of us. But this is the general idea of what's going on. We can see ourselves as woe is me when we're in this victim state. So one side of that pendulum is, oh, poor me, pity me. This keeps happening. People keep not seeing my boundaries, or people keep cutting me off on the side of the road, whatever. The other side of it is anger. And that would be like road rage. Like, how dare you? No, I'll show you. But I'm glad
you used that gesture.
I know, right?
Often a different one comes out.
That's true. Not for me, though. Anyway, I wouldn't want it back. That's all. But the thing is, you got to get into this space of kind of beyond that. You want to get into your divine power, and you're not going to find it on that pendulum anywhere. Anytime you see yourself in that victim state, you're not in power, period. I don't care how angry you are. I don't care how righteous you feel. If you're in that space, you're not in your divine power. So the idea is to kind of rise above it and to get beyond it, and not need that to feed any kind of emotion within you. And again, I keep coming back to dad with this. So there's probably some healing and deeper wounding that, whether it's directly with him, I'm kind of getting it might be, but also that ancestral lineage of, what gets passed down through generations, what kind of patterns are there. And just to finish the analogy, let's say, someone's cut me off, and instead of honking my horn or some other gesture, I'm then going to be like, okay, dear God, please help them get to where they're going safely and not harm anybody. And thank you for keeping me safe. There's a switch there where it's not going to trigger you. It would just be well, please bless them, because clearly they need it, or something. There's some way of seeing the situation where you're not in that space or on that pendulum. But she also asked about workplace. What does she need to know about the workplace? Let's see if there's anything deeper with that. So I'm also getting, and this is very specific. Usually I don't get stuff like this, but I do feel like there's chatter or office gossip or something kind of going around. I don't know if it's about you or if it's about someone else or whatever that is, but just really steer clear of that. Clean up the energy around it, and in any way that you either whether you're the victim of it, the victim of it, or if you are somehow hearing it or a part of it in any kind of way, pull back from that a little bit and just see it from higher, wiser eyes, and just don't participate. Don't add energy into any of that.
Yeah, they want me to just talk about, gossip. A lot of people do it and they think it's harmless, and energetically and karmically,
yeah.
it's not. It can be pretty harmful to people in many different ways, So it's like, don't pollute the airwaves with that. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Tamara. It's just for everybody. It's like to kind of watch that anytime, Jen and I do this a lot. Anytime we have to discuss something and there's a third party involved in the discussion, I think we're constantly checking our intentions with why are we talking about this person, and making sure it's through the lens of a wise viewpoint and to help and to come at it from a loving space. We don't ever want to be bad mouthing anybody or just engaging in gossip in any way. It's like, we often will ask our guides before we even share anything, should I share this? We don't just knee-jerk share something with each other without checking with our guides. So it's really just always having that filter on your mind before any other person's name leaves your mouth, always doing a gut check of what your intentions are. If they're not there, why are they being discussed, and is it for the highest good? And again, that's for everybody, not you specifically, Tamara. Although it might apply to the situation.
And I also want to say too, because I know somebody else who was just saying to me recently that they had somebody talking about them, and it just doesn't feel good when someone else is talking about you. And it can feel pretty awful, actually. But the way we try to look at things and the way we're guided to work through things when we know somebody's talking about us, or there's something that just makes us feel awful, or somebody does something that we didn't expect and maybe doesn't treat us well, we try to get into a space of healing. So we look at, why are we triggered by what they did? There's always two sides. It's what happened and why are they doing it, or why are we doing it, depending on who's doing what. And then the response and the reaction, why are we reacting this way? Why do we feel this way around what happened? That's where you really get to the core and the root of what's going on in your life, really trying to figure out, why is the universe bringing me this situation? Because there's always a reason. And so you take radical responsibility basically for what's showing up in your life, and you just own it. It doesn't matter what that person did, you just own it. So when you do that, it's a really good way to get out of any kind of a victim mindset or space that you might have around something that's showing up, and then you just jump into your power with that. And that's just a great instant step. Why is this happening for me? What is this trying to show me? And so just, ask those questions anytime anything happens. And that kind of falls in line with the whole get curious.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I noticed, Jen, she said it so seamlessly. Why is this happening for me? As opposed to, why is it happening to me? Which is often what people and, everybody.
Which, and don't get us wrong, we've had our moments.
Oh, yeah. Like, wow.
Which is, we call ourselves, we're growth partners. We're really good friends, and we hold each other to account.
Yeah, and we laugh because, like, when one of us is really triggered and the other one's saying, okay, well, why is this happening for you? I mean, like, shut up.
Let me have my moment. No,
right?
No, you're not going to get that.
We don't let each other off the hook. So that's good.
Well, and with that, I want to say, too, because I think this is really good, and this isn't necessarily, I don't think, come through as guidance, but just something that we definitely know. When you give yourself that excuse to be in victim, because we all find it yummy sometimes. You really do.
Or we can't help it.
And you spiral down, and you hate it and you love it all at the same time. And then you're either, whatever emotion you're feeling, you're really in it deep, and you're just like, yeah, life is sucky, and that person is awful, and I hate them, or whatever it is, but it feels yummy there for a minute, but it's really hard to get back out. So you have to not indulge in that, yumminess of that really awful feeling. And you have to just hold yourself to account and be like, no, I'm not gonna honor that right now, because I know that's just leading me down, way down there, and I don't want that. I'm just gonna get right into healing. What's my trigger? What's going on? I jump right in. I'm doing my work, and that's really helpful. And I can't, things that probably would have taken me months to get over, it literally will take me minutes.
Yep, that's the beauty.
Yeah, and you're not denying it. You're not bypassing it. You're literally facing it head on and dealing with it and moving beyond it. And you're using it as a catapult. So
that's right.
Hope you guys find that helpful.
Hooray.
We do.
All right, Amy Money. All right. Money. Come on.
We love you, Amy.
We didn't even hold back that time.
I know, right?
She says, hello, ladies. Any messages for me? Please and thanks. And you're welcome for that gift.
I was just thinking, I'm surprised she shows up with
I
this.
know, right? Okay.
I'm not sure where this is leading me yet, but what I see, and I keep seeing it, but I'm not hearing anything, and I don't know what it means. But I'm standing like at the beach with a really calm ocean in front of me, really beautiful, calm ocean, just really gentle waves. And I'm seeing, I don't know if it's a sunrise or a sunset, but the sun is like on the horizon, just kind of in front of me. But I don't know what that is trying to show me yet. And it feels just very calm and peaceful and just very serene.
So what I'm hearing is that it's a sunset and there is a chapter closing, but it feels like the time is right, or you're ready, or whatever this is not. A lot of times when we have endings in life, they can be really hard. This feels like, okay, it's time. And I feel like they're saying honor that, like, whatever this is, and I feel like you know what it means. It's okay to feel good about it and to not be upset. I think a lot of times we get trained to get upset about, goodbyes, for example, or like, we have to mourn something. And I don't think that this particularly needs to be mourned. I feel like we've already processed it quite well. And I just heard it's time to move on to new horizons.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything else.
And one last thing they said is that it's always darkest before the dawn. So if you are having a hard time at all, now they're playing this, sun will come out tomorrow. Anyway, so yeah. I just heard you have nothing to worry about. And what they're saying is honor the moment, and every moment of this life is precious. It doesn't always feel that way. But, we're lucky that we get the perspective of so many guides all the time. And it's exciting to be on Earth right now. And a lot of them, they're happy to be helping. Mm-hmm. They wish they were here. And these are guides who, many of them did live on Earth. They know how hard it is. And I get like a pretty constant reminder of just savoring and enjoying. And it's not clinging or attaching to every moment, but it's just enjoying it really fully, no matter how ordinary it is, just being outside and walking the dog, just the physicality of life. After there's certain things that the guides and past loved ones feel like that's so delicious about being in a body, like the comfort of a bed, the feel of a hot shower, and the taste of a delicious meal, and the feel of the sunshine and the wind, and like all these great things, these pleasures of earth that we get to enjoy that go really unappreciated because most people just walk around in their heads all day grinding on their problems, and they're not really
There's a lot lately.
yeah, they're not really stopping to take in just how amazing physical life is. So that's for all of us, just a little reminder. And you can find so much joy and so much happiness just in that, the ordinariness of life and the pleasures that it contains. I think that's
Like a dog resting your head in your lap.
Right.
All right, Shawnee Nicole.
Hey, Shawnee Nicole.
Good evening, beautifuls. Any messages from my guides tonight?
Okay. Okay, so they're giving me a song. It's Alicia Keys, I think. This girl is on fire.
What was that song that, yeah, I got a song too. It's funny, we started taking singing lessons and now all these songs are coming in.
Yeah.
What was that song though with all the different artists? We Are the World?
Mm-hmm.
We Are the Children. Anyway, that's coming in. So what's really sticking out to me, because I'm seeing the video in my mind right now, what's really sticking out is just all the people coming together and all the people wanting to make the world a much better place. So I know, right?
Both, I think George Michael and Michael Jackson were in that.
Yeah, a lot of them were.
Yeah,
a lot
tons of people.
So it feels very collaborative. It feels very collective, but also, doing your part. And if you remember the video, maybe try to find it online. If you remember that video, or maybe I'm dating myself and you never saw that video, but if you go watch the video, look, because like all the singers would have like their own part and they would really stand out. But then all together, it was also a really great song. And each one had their own style, and it just, I don't know, go back and try to watch that video and just really like see what comes to you around it. It feels important with mission work.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing, don't be afraid to let your voice be heard above the crowd. Here's the thing. I think a lot of times for new healers, they get a bit intimidated. They might feel like they're behind the curve because there's always somebody who's been doing it longer, faster, better, whatever than somebody else. And so we get into sometimes that comparison game and it can feel intimidating, but it doesn't matter. We all have our own gifts and what we came here to bring to the world. So just moving really fully and fearlessly into it and really watching out for the comparison game, because I see it throwing off new healers a lot, and it can really throw people into ego with trying to prove themselves on one end of the pendulum and wanting to be perceived as, better than other people or whatever. They get competitive with it, and then they might swing to, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Nobody's ever going to pay me to do anything because there's other people who have more experience or whatever. So just ignoring all of that noise and learning to value who you are and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, I was also getting, right before you started saying that, I saw a really quick image of you playing, I don't know, it was some sort of like a wind instrument. That's all I can tell you. It wasn't like a flute. It was more like a trumpet or something. I don't know. But it was really loud. Like I could feel the loudness in the vision. And I know this sounds strange, but that's how it came through. And the message I got right away with it is like, be loud and proud. Don't be afraid of what other people are going to think about what you're doing, because quite honestly, we are in the Great Awakening. We are in this space where people are waking up and realizing how important spirituality is, how things like crystals really do things. Like, it's an important tool. Healing, alternative healing. There's so many things that people are waking up to. And they want you to be loud and proud about it, and to not be in any kind of fear of what someone someone's discomfort or misunderstanding of a topic, don't let that deter you. You're here to show the way. It is not to make people believe you or anything like that. You're just here to be you. And in doing so, they learn from you. So don't be afraid of it. And, blow your trumpet.
Yeah, I just heard own it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Joseph Battaglia says, one day at a past job, I once had a man came in to show everyone some gold coins he got in a foreign country. After I and others marveled over them, the man left. Later that night at closing, I was locking up and found one of the gold coins I had admired so much on the ground right in front of my station, as if it left for me. But 8 hours had passed and no one saw the coin on the floor, and the man who was a regular oddly never came back and never asked for his coin back. You say coins are used as a message. Who and what left it, and what was my message? I still have the coin and refer to it as my lucky coin. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just heard faith and trust that all is well. God has your back. And then they're giving me the idea that Jenn has when she finds pennies, because it says in God we trust on pennies. It feels like very much that sort of a message for me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also, you never know what's around the corner. Like, you did not wake up that morning thinking you were going to find a gold coin and meet some
mysterious man.
He said he's a regular that would then never come back, and you just never know what's going to happen, and life changes on a dime or on a gold coin.
Right.
And you just don't know. And great things are always around the corner. And I think that's the message, honestly, I'm going to keep running with. I still really feel that, having that faith, but faith in what? Faith in that great things are happening. Everything is happening for you. You may not always understand why something is showing up or why it stops showing up. But this beautiful thing happens because it happened, and it just feels like keep going, keep believing, keep trusting, and stay in that very positive space of, well, what's going to happen today? Yeah, that reminds me of another access consciousness thing that we learned that's also very helpful. Whether something is turning out great or turning out terrible, you always go, well, what else is possible? How much better can things get? And you want to challenge the universe to bring you better and better and better, no matter how it's showing up, but especially if something you don't like is showing up. I think that's all I'm getting from that.
Yeah, the only other thing I was getting about it is for everybody, and it's a manifestation technique to view life that way, because especially if we do, a lot of us have somewhat troubled pasts, who has the perfect past, right? And so the problem is then we can base our future on our history. And so the idea is to always be working on sort of, learning from the past. You don't want to just memory hole the whole thing and not learn anything. It's processing it appropriately, but also knowing that it doesn't necessarily need to represent itself as your future either, especially if you're learning what you need to learn. You can leave it in the past, and new and better things can be around the corner for you, and just not worrying about it.
Very good.
All right.
Doug Henninger. Hi, what is our ultimate goal? To make our way back to creator, or is that automatic?
Well, so I'm hearing yes, goal isn't the right word, first of all. Yes and no, that we will make our way back to create. It's like autumn. And again, it's not automatic, yet it is. It's a very complicated concept, but it's the idea that we are all, at some point, because we're infinite, at some point, if you look at the universe and like people's lives as like we're on this sort of series of gears, and right now a lot of us are on this upward ascension path where we are faced with lessons. And if you have an awakening, this sort of spiritual epiphany and opening, where if you go back several questions to one that Jenn answered, where it was about the idea when you figure out, you get triggered, you figure out, okay, I'm going to do the work. I'm not going to spiral into the deliciousness of it or anything like that. I'm going to be cognizant and aware and a conscious individual, enlightened, if you will. I'm going to witness my thoughts and I'm going to ascend. Then those gears turn faster and higher, and you can have a faster return to creator. That said, that's like a real nice path of ascension. If you're not awakened yet, what you're going to do is kind of flounder around in the system for a while. So it's not automatic in that people can flounder around in the system like lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. They can wind up on the negative path of ascension. So, I mean, it can take, billions and trillions of years before someone can return to the creator. And I mean, really, that could be, in a tremendously long time. There are some people who they awaken in the negative path and they decide to ride that path up. So, they can learn lessons on the negative path and they can get pretty high that way, but they can't become one with the creator that way. And so then they have to make a conscious choice to switch over to the positive path if they want to complete the ride up to the creator. But there's nuggets of gold for them, apparently, of being a conscious being on the negative path. So it'll take them a while before they get bored, Anyway, are you getting some?
Yeah, no, I think just, we're here for the process in life. Let's just say in life.
Yeah, let's take this life.
We're here for the process of the idea of ascension so that we can ultimately merge according to the law of one, or the raw contact. This is just one octave of ascension. I guess there's more, supposedly. At least that's what they've been told. So, where does it go? Where does it end? Who knows? I think that's being okay with the mystery, I think, is what's really important, and being focused on where you're at now, and whatever that process is that you're dealing with now is what we're meant to be in. And, I think just be curious. Again, just be curious. I don't know that there's an answer that we will all understand. And I also want to say too, is like, this is an important question to ask, and it's an important one to ponder. Keep pondering, keep looking, keep trying to receive and ask for answers to help you work that muscle. But don't expect any of it to be absolute truth. Because I think there's a lot more to it.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Isabel Hauser says, any messages for me?
All right.
Hello, Isabel. Dog snort for you.
Okay, so we have a Ganesh here on the table. And here we go. I was drawn to it. And I'm not normally, so I feel like they want to bring me to some sort of obstacle or thing that you're working through that you feel stuck in. So let's see what we can get with that. Okay, I also just heard mission. So it must have something to do with mission. I don't even know if you know what your mission is and what you're really here for. I do think that you are some sort of a teacher, is what I'm hearing. I asked healer, they said no. It's more teacher, not to say that, if you do healing work, that's not important. It's just not the overall mission, I guess. But it is something to do with teaching. Even if you're a healer, a lot of times when you're healing, you're doing more teaching than healing. So whatever it is, and I don't know what you do for a living or anything really, except that teaching is important. You're here to help bring wisdom to people.
Yeah, and when I'm hearing, they just want me to share quickly. How did I get that Ganesh? I was actually having a block, an obstacle in my own life that I'd been asking for help with for quite some time with my guides, and I just felt like I wasn't really getting the help I needed. And then I was in this. I was guided. I was in New York City. I was guided to go to this Tibetan shop and I was drawn to buy this Ganesh, which is funny because Ganesh is not Tibetan, but there happened to be a Ganesh in the Tibetan shop. Okay, so I bought the Ganesh and I called on Ganesh. It was just a reminder to me to call on Ganesh and to ask him to help remove these obstacles that I had been asking for help with. And things happened like that. Actually within hours, there were miracles that happened for me that night and the next day and in the coming weeks, and everything moved really, really quickly after that. So I do feel like they wanted me to share that story because for any of you out there, if you have an obstacle you've been facing and you've been asking for help and you don't feel like it's coming quick enough, by all means, ask Ganesh for assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And, they also just want to bring up the way we ask any guide for any sort of help is always respectfully and with gratitude and reverence, because a lot of times egoically we can ask and be like, give me my stuff. And it's, you're not likely to get help that way.
Well, why?
What the heck, dudes? You always have to be mindful about.
Or other gestures.
Yeah, we always have to be mindful about how we're approaching different guides and deities, and it's always with reverence and respect and kindness. And they often enjoy a jovial, joking nature. Not all of them.
It's true.
But they all do require respect, even if you are going to be joking. Like even the funniest, goofiest of my guides, like they have a high threshold, like they expect respect.
I had something else and now I forgot it. I'm trying to get it back.
And I feel like for Isabel, there's something they said dad stuff. So I think that's for you to explore whatever healing work might have to be done. It might be mission work. Sometimes we have to step off of the traditional path of a career that maybe would have made our parents proud or something like that to get into our mission work. It might be different from what you're doing now. And it's to really process that, whoever you might be, quote, disappointing, and to get okay with that and knowing we only get one life to live and we can't live it for somebody else. We can't live it for their expectations. We have to do what we came here to do on our soul's mission.
And sometimes it's to teach people, who maybe disagree with us a different way. And that can be really uncomfortable because a lot of us are meant to be catalysts for others. And when we're being a catalyst for somebody, it's not a lot of fun. And oftentimes we're questioning ourselves, and feeling wrong about who we are and
what we came here to do.
Yeah.
Fearless.
But at the same time, we all still have work to do and growth. And so trying to find your blind spots while also being true to who you are and what is right to you and for you. Not always the easiest balance to have, because I don't know about you, but there is a pendulum there. Over here, I question myself way too much and think there's a wrongness in me, even when there shouldn't be. Then over here, I was like, no, I'm right. I'm good. And so getting off of that pendulum and just being, back to being curious about the situation or the belief or the thought or the thing that you're trying to accomplish. And getting really into soul space with it all. And I think that's it. I'm not getting anything else.
I think that is it. It's 8:02. We've been on for an hour. So
All
I think
right.
that's the ball game. But thanks everybody for joining us. And we will see you all next week. And in the meantime, if you're missing us, go to divinelyguided.tv and check us out. Join our soul growth group. And we'll see you next Thursday night.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay. I'll end it this time, I think.
Thanks.